everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. On today's show, Harry Kane to Manchester United. This story has been bubbling for multiple years, but is it finally going to be possible? And would Harry Kane even want to come? Well, there is news coming out from Fabrizio Romano and from Germany as well, from Bild. So we need to get into it, we need to discuss it. However unlikely it may be, I think we can all love. I mean, not everyone will love, actually, because I know what this community is like, and we've had the discussion before, but I think we can all appreciate what an amazing player Harry Kane is. And if there was an opportunity to go and get him, you'd like to discuss it and think about it and how that would impact Manchester United. Would it benefit Benjamin Sesko? Would it benefit Manchester United? For me, he's still one of the best strikers in the world. Him and Haaland, for me, are right up there. So it's definitely something to discuss, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to run a poll on it, actually, straight away. Harry Kane to Manchester United, yes or no? I can already see a lot of people probably being like, there's no way. Look at what he's doing for Bayern Munich. And I don't even know if Bayern Munich have lost a game yet this season. They're doing incredibly well, and he's smashing in the goals, and Bayern Munich are just levels above anywhere near where Manchester United are right now. But a couple of weeks ago on the United Stand, Ben Jacobs did say he thinks it's a possibility, and to come back to it in a few weeks' time, and there is a possibility there that Kane would be open to coming back to the Premier League, to breaking Shearer's goal record. He's got his eyes set on it, and Manchester United could be a club he's open to. So who knows? We are going to discuss it. I've got loads of news to bring on that, and I want to talk about it. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I would absolutely love Harry Kane in Manchester United. I think he's absolutely fantastic. So you have your say, I'll have mine. We've also got stuff coming in about a new midfielder. Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United could get a new midfielder in January. It is a possibility, and he's gone into detail about what kind of midfielder Manchester United would be looking at and would be able to get in the January window. He's also given an update on Bruno Fernandes and the potential of him going to Saudi in the summer, which we'll get into, and Shea Lacey training with the senior England team. If you don't know about Shea Lacey yet, where have you been? You need to get to know. But we are going to touch on that because a lot of people have questioned, well, who's the next youth player coming through under Ruben Amorim? You know, you've had youth players come through under each Manchester United manager. And who's going to be Ruben Amorim's player that he brings through? It really could be Shea Lacey. If, fingers crossed, he stays injury-free. I mean, the fact he's getting to train with the England senior team, it looks really good. 17 years old, described as the next Phil Foden, had issues with injury, but wow, he could be an amazing player if he stays injury-free. He could even make his debut this season, potentially. So get your comments in, let me know your thoughts, get voting in the poll, and welcome everybody to the show. So let's get started on the actual bulk bit of information here. So Fabrizio Romano has said that Harry Kane does have a release clause of €65 million, but the clause has to be activated in January. He said Spurs have matching rights with any Premier League team that comes in for him. The Premier League temptation is always there for Harry Kane, but he's fully focused on Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich feel as if Kane is very happy there. However, we've spoken to Ben Jacobs previously on this story, and he has put out there that Harry Kane does have that ambition to come back to the Premier League and break that Shearer goal record. It's always been something in the back of his mind. He feels like he's still capable of doing so. And Ben Jacobs even mentioned that although the release clause is €65 million, and it does have to be activated in January, hence why we've gone with January deal on our video today. So you would have to put that in place with Bayern Munich in January for the summer. There's also something in it that Bayern Munich could negotiate that price. It might not actually be €65 million. Ben Jacobs says it might not be as high as that. If Harry Kane said to Bayern Munich, look, I want to go back to the Premier League and I want to leave, I don't think they'd hold him to ransom over €65 million. It could actually be less. And if you look at €65 million in pounds, I mean, I could translate it absolutely accurately for you, which actually I'm going to do because we only do accuracy on here on the United Stand. It is, I'm assuming, around 56 million pounds sterling. So £56 million for one of the best strikers in the world. Arguably the best. I think Erling Haaland's the best, but he's second to Erling Haaland in my opinion. He's fantastic. And it might not even be that much. You could negotiate it down. So if he was even open to joining Manchester United, then it's something you would consider. Again, Tottenham do have matching rights, so you'd maybe have to compete with them. But I Would Harry Kane want to come back to the Premier League to go back to Tottenham Hotspur, or would he want to try something different? I think he'd probably want to try something different. That's just my feeling. I just find it crazy to talk about the possibility of United still being able to attract that calibre of player, because where we're at right now is we're not in any European football, so we can't offer European football, which is crucial to a player of that quality. It really would be. You're also in a situation where we're not actually scoring that many goals, and Harry Kane wants to come to the Premier League to break Shearer's goal record. He's going to have to score quite a few goals to do that. It's not impossible. He could do it, but he needs to be scoring. United as a team don't score many goals as of now. However, things can change very quickly in football. And if Manchester United kick on, they start doing well, they look like they could compete for European places, it's something that could crop up. I would have written this off completely and been like, no, there's absolutely no way he's going to go from smashing goals in the Champions League and winning Bundesliga with Bayern Munich to saying, you know what, yeah, I will come to Manchester United. I will do that. But Ben Jacobs did say be open to the possibility, and it is something that could heat up. And, you know, he's been right on a lot of stuff, and he's been early with it. He was early on the Benjamin Sesko stuff. Do you remember when he said, if Gyökeres goes to Arsenal, I think there's a genuine possibility that Sesko goes to United, and everyone was like, okay, yeah. And then like a month later, it ended up happening. So I would keep an eye on that Harry Kane one. And I know a lot of people might think it'd stifle Sesko. I actually think if United are aiming to get into Europe, it'd be perfect for Sesko. He's somebody to learn off. He's been there. He's done it. He's slightly different to Sesko in the way that he drops in. Oh, Sesko can drop in as well. He proved that against Sunderland. They are slightly different players, but Harry Kane's got everything. He's got everything but pace, but he doesn't need pace because he's so intelligent. So if there's any possibility of bringing him to United, it is something I would explore. Would you explore it? Would you want to do it? Do you think there's any possibility? I mean, City aren't going to go there. They've got Erling Haaland. You've got Liverpool definitely aren't going to go there. They've got Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike, two top-tier strikers. And if anyone didn't want to bring in Kane just because of Sesko, I mean, you need depth. You really do need depth. It'd put Xerxes' position into question, of course, but he would be a senior player for him to learn off at such a young age. Like, we've spoken about young players having too much pressure put on the shoulders at the club. And then you look through, you know, Arsenal have Gyökeres, and they're not going to go for Harry Kane anyway. Harry Kane wouldn't go to Arsenal because of the Spurs connection. It really probably would be Manchester United and Spurs competing in the Premier League for Kane's signature. And Kane, if he was going to leave Bayern Munich, which he might not even want to go, but if he did want to go, he's not going to leave Bayern Munich for any old club. He wants to go to a Premier League team so he can break Shearer's goal record. It's a very important record for him, and it's one thing that he thought about before he even left to go to Bayern in the first place, which I thought was a really good move for his career. And he's gone out there, he's won, and he's proven how good he is. I'd love Bayern Munich to win the Champions League because we're not in it, because I think it'd be a great story for him to go and win that, just because I think he's such a good player that deserves to do so. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Get voting in the polls. I mean, it's also come out from Build here that Harry Kane's current contract includes a €65 million release clause, which we know. The clause has to be activated in January, which we know. It expires on January the 31st. And what I picked up on this, and this is where you get brought back down to earth, is that Harry Kane is currently Bayern's highest earner with a salary worth around €24 million gross per year. Internally, a decision has not been made to offer him a pay rise. Bayern are still looking to cut costs. In addition, Kane will be 34 years old when his contract expires. So they're not looking to offer him a pay rise. His salary is worth €24 million a year. It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money on a player. So United aren't going to be going offering that sort of contract to Harry Kane. So that's something that could stifle the deal if United did go in there. Our highest earner is Bruno Fernandes, or is it Casemiro? I think it might be Casemiro on around 350 grand a week. And I think Bruno's on 350 grand a week as well. I think they're both on. It's funny, isn't it? Our two midfielders that a lot of people complain about are our highest paid players on 350 grand a week. Our senior players, and Harry Kane would demand that sort of wage. Would you want to go and pay that for Harry Kane in the latter stages of his career? I still think he's got a lot more to give, but it is a question that you ask. Do you go down that road of going on the higher end of your wage structure? Bazooka says, a proven striker, but still not guaranteed Kane can score a lot of goals if we're still using the same midfield. Luke Wickham says, is the whole situation of buying 2 number 10s again when we maybe only needed 1. We have another striker, but he's not a priority. We have Cunha, Mount, Xerxes, who can all play there. Ladio says, Harry Kane has a good chance to win the Champions League. There is no way that he's coming to a team that plays once a week and trying to get top 5 in the league. Doc Doob says that's 460 grand a week. Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for Harry Kane. We don't know the exact figures, but it's touching over 400 grand a week. So that's something that wouldn't be possible at Manchester United. However, like I said, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. If it was just a story that had come up now that he's got that release clause, I'd say, oh God, that's pretty good money for a player of Harry Kane's quality. I mean, I'd love to have him at United, but it's never going to happen. But it's the fact Ben Jacobs said it on a show a while ago that to keep looking at that, and it's something that Manchester United, there could be something in it. He literally said there could be something in it. You can go back and find the clip. That's the only thing that kind of keeps it in the back of my mind. But I do agree with that comment there. Like, we've got other priorities. As good as Harry Kane is, we have got other priorities. We need 2 midfielders. We need 2 wing backs. We need a centre back. Like, you're already, getting down the list of positions that you do need. It just depends whether Xerxes is going to be part of this future. But if you compare Harry Kane and Xerxes, like, it is, like, I think Xerxes is a baller, and I think he's got technical ability, and I think he should be used way more than he is being used. And it's unfortunate that we're not in Europe, so we can't get game time. But Harry Kane and Xerxes, Harry Kane's just ridiculous. Like, to have him as part of your team, I think it would do so much good for the likes of Benjamin Sesko, who's just kind of learning his trade and probably would aspire to do what Harry Kane did in the Premier League. It's something to think about, but I doubt it would happen. Kane to Manchester United, yes or no? I mean, the dreamer in me says yes. And 47% of you have said yes, but 53% of you have said no. I feel like the people that have said no are very much realist. They're the people that are like, look, we need wing backs, we need a centre back, we need midfield, and Harry Kane ain't leaving Bayern Munich to come and play for Manchester United, who are currently on the trajectory of being closer to play against Millwall than Real Madrid. Like, let's not get it twisted. And then the people that have said yes, which I voted yes in the poll, are the people that are like, hello, Sesko gets to work with one of the best Premier League strikers, and Sesko's showed so much promise that would only benefit him. Harry Kane is Premier League proven on a massive scale. Harry Kane is still one of the world's best strikers, and you'd have him at the club. And you just can't say no to that option. It's 2 ends of the spectrum, but the people that also are commenting and getting their opinions in. I've seen a lot of you saying, Harry Kane's, he's one of the best strikers in the world, but he's still not going to be fed properly because we've not fixed the rest of our team. I agree with that. You need to fix the rest of the team. The midfield needs to be better. The wing backs, I think people sleep on the wing backs so much. People are starting to open their eyes to it a little bit more, but everyone's always complaining about the midfield. Midfield's always going to be difficult when there's only 2 of you in there. I get that the structure is so that the centre-backs push into the midfield, and sometimes Amorim tweaks it so the 10s drop in, so the midfield is more compact, and it's not supposed to be just 2 people on their own. It's everyone not getting into the right places at the right time, therefore it all falls down, and it just looks like the midfield's empty, and then a lot of blame goes on the midfielders when it's actually the rest of the team that are not doing the job properly a lot of the time. However, it's always going to be difficult with 2 of you. I agree, we need to upgrade our midfield. We do massively. But the wing backs have been a problem in the system. They're the ones that are there to provide the depth. They're the ones that are there to provide the width. They're the ones that are there to provide the crosses into the box to feed the striker. Of course, the rest of the team have to do it, but how often do you see the wing backs in great positions to receive balls, in great positions to then put a cross in or put a pass in where you can be in on goal? Ahmad was a breath of fresh air against Sunderland. He was such a threat, because that's what a wing-back should be in this team, a constant threat. But if you have like a Dorgu there, or as good as he is, a Mazraoui there, Mazraoui is more of a right-sided centre-back, right back, not like a winger. Ahmad's more of a winger, so he's got that technical ability, he's got that attacking flair, he's got that attacking head on his shoulders. Ahmad is just superb. But then if you don't have Ahmad and you have Adorgu, Adalio and Mazraoui, you're just not getting the same attacking output. So I think we need like 3 Ahmads, and that's hard to find. But you definitely need a new left wing back, and you probably need somebody that can compete as well on that right hand side with Ahmad, because I don't think there's anyone who can do what Ahmad does on that right hand side. And then on the left hand side, we don't even have one wing back that I think is at the level that is good enough to be consistently playing for United when they're competing right now. And you need that to feed the strikers as well. Ladio says the only way that Amorim can change it up is to play a formation of 5-3-2. I mean, he kind of changed it up against Sunderland. I mean, he didn't change his formation, but he changed the way that we set up in and out of possession. A lot of the times it was a 5, and then it was 4 dropping in, and it was literally just Sesko, out there pressing on his own. That did happen a lot in that Sunderland game, and it helped us. It did help us. But also, we've seen Yoro go over to right back and Ahmad go up into right wing basically, and make a 3 across the middle. Like, that does happen as well. So it does change in and out, but ultimately you need the right sort of personnel in them wide areas to feed your striker. JBLV says Watkins is more better than Sesko. I don't know what you're trying to say there, but we've got Sesko now. We've got Sesko. Sesko's young, he's got potential. He started the season a little bit better. Watkins, I still think is a really good striker, but Sesko's kind of shown why Vivell was sort of all in on him. Early days, don't want to get carried away, but he looks like he's got so many good attributes. I mean, the Harry Kane thing as well is it's not going to be a massively long contract that United would offer him. He's 34, you're not going to offer him a big 5-year deal. It'll probably be a 3-year contract max. So it's not as if it's going to be a forever thing. I think it could be a help for Sesko, but let me know what you guys think as well. But Harry Kane won't be playing for England because he's picked up a little bit of an injury. But speaking of England, it is the international break, so make sure that you tune in to England versus Wales on That's Football, 7:45 kickoff tomorrow. Goldbridge watch along, make sure you're there. Get your football fix in the international break. And speaking of Ben Jacobs, I've plugged in left, right and centre. I'm going to be asking him live and directly about this Harry Kane story to follow up on what he previously said. There is something in that. I'm going to ask him tomorrow. He is live on the United Stand for an interview with myself, so make sure you are there. And on top of that, just to get some more inside scoops around Manchester United, we have Rob Dawson from the ESPN on Friday as well. So all the info coming your way. Make sure you are there and ready for all of that. But we've got some more people getting their opinions in here. Super chat after super chat after super chat. Thank you very much, everybody. We have Rob Always United saying, I think Kane is expensive for his age. Yeah, but you're talking about one of the best strikers in the world. I don't know how to put it. And I don't think it would be £56 million. I think it'd be around 45 million once you'd negotiated with Bayern Munich. That's what I think it'd be. I might be wrong. For that price, I think he's worth it for what he can give you for 3 years. I'm going to be so real. And I might be wrong. But I just think he's that good. You could justify the output that he's going to give you back. Like that mentorship for Sesko, it's at that age as well as he's coming up. It really is. He's got a lot of worth on that. When Sesko's doing his training behind the scenes at Manchester United, who's he got to learn off there? He's not got anyone as his senior to kind of help him. He's good enough to get to this point in his career, and he's got a great attitude, great mentality. He's always staying after for training and coming in before, as Ruben Amorim has said, he works hard relentlessly. But to have that guy that's been there, that's done it, that's close to breaking the Premier League goal scoring record, that is he's just a top quality striker, it would really help, I think. But you're entitled. You're entitled to your opinion. It's where I'm put off. It's not really the price. I think he's worth the money that we probably have to pay for him fee-wise. Where I'd be put off is the wage, because I don't think United go above and beyond on the wage. I think the max you'd probably go to would be around 300 grand a week, and Kane's currently on touching over 400 grand a week. Why would you drop your wage to come to a worse team than what you're currently at? For the goal scoring record, that United aren't even currently scoring that many goals. That's where it kind of gets a bit unrealistic for me. Max Evans says, only problem is that our club is going for the future and Kane is too old for Ineos to go for. Alex Lang said, I'm glad you mentioned wing-backs. Ours are ASS. Keel Robinson says, no, we need 2 centre mids. Yeah, we do need 2 centre mids. I mean, speaking of midfielders, let's talk about what Fabrizio Romano said on the midfield. He said this very recently, he said it this morning, on the possibility to sign a midfielder in January. He said it is a possibility that Manchester United sign a midfielder in January. If no big names that they're interested are on the market, it is likely to be a loan or a last minute chance if no big names come up. So with the midfielder, I would suspect that when it gets to January, United will probably get linked to a Conor Gallagher loan again. When we brought Sabitzer in on loan that time under Ten Hag, I suspect something like that to maybe come up on the horizon. And to be honest with you, I would take that. I would take it over nothing. We need options. We need options. The only midfield that Amorim picks that looks like it can do a decent job is Bruno and Casemiro, and even that has issues, is a partnership. So if you can't go and get a Belieber, a Wharton, or I know some people have been a little bit put off Belieber as of late. I mean, that's a discussion for another time, but if you can't go and get a Belieber, a Wharton, a Stiller, and there is loan options there, then I would take it. In terms of when he says a last minute option, if it was a permanent deal, I wouldn't want to just buy someone for the sake of it and then you're stuck with them. You know, if you take a punt and you buy someone for what, 25, 30 million, you're taking it out of the budget for the summer when you go in trying to get a Wharton or a Belieber type player. And if you're not 100%, I wouldn't do that. But if there's a good loan where you're not going to lose anything, Manchester United should absolutely go and explore that. And I would keep an eye on Conor Gallagher. Do I think he solves all of our problems? No, he just adds a bit of depth. He wouldn't excite me massively. It's hard to get a loan that would excite you, but is there any names that you guys think? I mean, comment them down below, get involved. Is there any names that could be on the market that you guys would want Manchester United to go for? Because Romano, usually very, very good at these sort of things, thinks that a loan could be a possibility for Manchester United. Who out there is it that you'd want to go and get? And with that, I think a lot of it rests upon if Kobbie Mainoo goes. Is Kobbie Mainoo going to be allowed to leave? If he's allowed to leave on loan, I suspect United bring a loan player in. Who do you go and get? You know, who knows if anyone wants to come in with a big offer for him on a permanent. I wouldn't put that past Manchester United. They'd be eyeing up that pure profit. I would be so against it. I think we'd, you guys know this, I think we'd be absolutely silly to sell Kobbie Mainoo, I really do, especially considering the situation with Amorim is we don't even know if he'll make it to next season, and you could be letting go one of the best players to come out of your academy in a very long time. So if it was a loan for Mainoo, absolutely bring a loan player in. Permanently, I'd be against it, but you never know, it might happen. United would entertain offers because of the pure profit aspect. So it's a way for them to bring in quite a lot of money into the football club. So there could be domino effects and an open door for Manchester United in January, and it's something to ask Ben Jacobs about tomorrow. Absolutely. A lot of people saying Anderson. There's no way you'd get Anderson on loan. No way you'd get Anderson on loan. I mean, I'd love it, but you'd have to pay a decent amount of money to even get him out of Forest right now in January. He's only just gone there. That'd be one for the summer. I'd love him. I think he's top. I'd really, really rate him. I love the way he always looks forward. I love the way he's so good at keeping the ball. I love his in-game intelligence. I've enjoyed watching him this season, and people are really kind of catching on to how good he is, especially when he got picked for England and had their man of the match performance. But Anderson's, you're not going to get him out in January, as much as I'd love it. Sam Marvel TV says, if Kane comes to United, Sesko will not even see a minute. Not true. Not true. Look at Ekitike and Isak. I think Ekitike is phenomenal. Isak was, labelled top 2 strikers in the Premier League with Erling Haaland. Yeah, we've not got European football this season, but we're hoping we've got some sort of European football next season. You need bodies. You need you need at least 2 striker options. Like, you do, if you're going to be a competitive team. Sesko, I'm pretty sure, he's 22, 23 years old. Like, he's just come into Manchester United. He will see football. He absolutely will. He's 22. You can't just have one 22-year-old striker, especially if you're in European football as well. Yeah, we have Xerxes, but is he going to stay? He's another one that could want to move away in January because he's not getting the game time this season. You just don't know. So, Sam says United should go for Angelo Stiller. Stiller is one that I know Goldbridge really likes. He's been watching him on the Bundesliga watch-alongs and Bundesliga highlights with the live games on That's Football every Friday for Bundesliga. He's been watching a lot of him. I've not seen too much of him, so I can't really comment that much on it. I've seen bits, but not enough where I can say absolutely yes, go and get him. I'd have to watch him a little bit more. I like to watch a player quite a bit before I'm like, yes, bring him to United, go and do it. What I've seen I've liked, but I've not seen too much. Anderson would absolutely go for. You're not getting him in January. Basically, all the names, the Wharton, the Belieber, the Anderson, the Stiller, you're not getting him in January, and that's where it becomes a bit of a predicament for Manchester United, unless Kobbie Mainoo went on a permanent, pure profit, and United have a bit of money to spend and they can go and overbid for a midfielder that's on that list and turn the heads of them clubs, and they think that, you know what, we can't really turn down that offer, we'll have to sell him in January. You never know what could happen, but it's I would be against selling Kobbie. I know and it's tough because he's not getting a minute right now. So it's like, so Beth, you're telling me you're against selling Kobbie to get someone in who actually might play and help affect this team, and it's like, it's difficult. It really is difficult for me because football is so short-termism, but if you look at the long-term vision, I'd be gutted to see him go, but it's a really high likeability. And I mean, what would you do? Would you sell Kobbie to get in a midfielder in January? Would you sell Kobbie Mainoo permanently to get a midfielder in January? I would not. Would you? Because I know a few people probably would. Just on that, speaking of midfield, while I'll let you guys get your comments in on that one, on Kobbie Mainoo. This is what Romano had to say on Bruno to Saudi. Rumours recirculated late last night and this morning that Bruno to Saudi is going to happen in the summer for a massive price, but it wasn't an Ornstein or Romano or Ben Jacobs coming out and speaking about it, so I didn't really take much notice of it. I looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, probably, maybe, because we've heard a lot that Bruno might move on to Saudi next summer. You know, he's got into the Portuguese squad for the World Cup, which I still think he would do even if he was playing in Saudi, but playing in Europe obviously gives you a bigger chance of doing so. He'll go to the World Cup and then he might move on. That's what we've all heard. It's been rumoured for quite a while that there's a concrete option for him to go to Saudi. I mean, he nearly went this summer. He did nearly go, and they will be back for him. But Romano sort of clarified it. And he said, nothing at all to Bruno to Saudi at the moment. Full focus on United. New deal was signed 1 year ago, so nothing concrete at this stage. Saudi remain interested as they have been for the last 3 years, but nothing else for now. So that's what Romano said via Give Me Sport, and it's basically a nothing story. Bruno, he's not thinking about Saudi now because he's playing for Manchester United. He's got a full season at United and he won't be leaving in January either. He's thinking about doing the best he can for Manchester United in his final year. I mean, if we know Bruno and his mentality, okay, yeah, he's not a 10 out of 10 every single week, but what he is a 10 out of 10 for effort, mentality, anything he can do to help Manchester United, he will do it. You can't question his work ethic or his mentality. You just can't. He wants what's best for United. He nearly broke down and cried in an interview when he was on the verge of signing a new contract, and the interview just said, I want to show my appreciation for what you've done for this club. And he was saying how much the fans meant to him and the club meant to him. Like, you might not rate his performances. You know, some games he plays better than others, but his full focus is on United this season. However, I think most people know, and it's reported, Saudi will come back next summer, and this summer it was very, very close to him going, very close. He might think at the end of this year, I've helped with the transition into Amrim, hopefully it begins to be successful this season, but who knows, and I'm going to go into the World Cup now. I'm at an age where I could go to Saudi and I could, go and earn this absolutely generational wealth, and I've done my bit for Manchester United and I can go on a high. I hope that's the case. If he does go, it is on a high. I hope it is on a high, and I hope it ends on a good note. I'm sure it will. For him, no matter where we are, I still think people will be appreciative of everything he's done. But there is a likelihood he goes to Saudi in the summer, but it's not randomly just happened this week. Bruno's going to Saudi in the summer. It's been a likelihood ever since he was speaking this summer, and he said, no, not this year, but potentially in the future. Like, it's going to be a likelihood every year because Saudi are going to come back in for him. But currently, it's not like he's having meetings with Saudi for next summer. He's just not. And that won't start to happen until late on in the season, if not just before the World Cup. A lot of people didn't like the fact that I said that you can't question his mentality. Just based off what I know about Bruno Fernandes in and around the club, of how much he does for the club, he loves the club, how much he gives on the pitch every single week. You might not like the way he goes about it, you might not like the petulance, but I personally think that Bruno gives his all every single week, which is what you want from a Manchester United player, but some people might not like the way he goes about it. To be fair, D. Freezy says, I can question his mentality, always complaining and blaming other players for his mistakes. I personally have to say, from what we've heard, he's absolutely amazing with the younger players coming through and the younger players that come into the team and anybody that's signed for Manchester United, making them feel welcome, doing loads of things for all of his squad, his teammates. However, I do have to say, the interview after the derby when he name dropped Lenny Yoro, I did think was out of character and I didn't like it. I love Bruno, but I didn't think he had to name drop Yoro in that moment, and I was shocked by that, to be fair. Ugarte might need a loan, says Nomad Joe. If Ugarte doesn't cut it this season, it's not a loan, it's a sell. It's a sell. Doesn't look like he's going to get much game time though, because he prefers Casemiro over him, and Casemiro has performed better than him. So, yeah, it could be a really crucial year for Ugarte this season. And if he doesn't start knocking on the door to the first team, you do question how long he's got. Omar Barada did say they have a strict 2-year policy where you have to make an impact. This is his second season now. He's got to start making an impact. And if Casemiro, who, don't get me wrong, has had a fantastic career, and for me, one of the best centre defensive midfielders I've ever seen play the game. But we know where he's at in his career. We know that, it's coming up to where he'll start going into that stage of his career where he's looking to wind down, and he's not the Casemiro in his prime. And if Ugarte, where he's supposed to be, kicking on, can't get game time over him, then it's something he's got to question a little bit. Casemiro's a good player, but you can't rely on him forever. So Ugarte's got to step up for me. Just to kind of finish off the show, I want to talk a little bit about Shea Lacey. And this is some really exciting stuff because, we talk about the fact that under different managers, youth players have come through. Ten Hag had Mainu, Garnacho. We had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought through Mason Greenwood at the time. Rashford came through under Van Gaal. I think McTominay came through under Mourinho. You've had academy players come through near enough every manager. And Amorim doesn't seem to have that yet, and he's nearly a year into the job. A lot of people think it's because he's trying to get the first team right before he goes into the academy, and he doesn't want to throw them into this environment. And I can understand that, which is why I've not been overly harsh on it. However, the academy is really important to me and a lot of United fans. And what is exciting is that Shea Lacey, who is probably one of the most highly rated youngsters to come through Manchester United's academy in a very long time, alongside JJ Gabriel, who's a bit younger than him. But Shea Lacey, 17 years old, he has been tipped to be one of Manchester United's brightest young talents, and been described as the next Phil Foden, trained with the England senior team today. So he's not even made his Man United debut yet, and he trained with the England senior team. It was likely that he was in there to make up numbers, but a brilliant opportunity to impress Thomas Tuchel, to impress, his staff. And, he's played for England youth teams before. They know his abilities, capabilities. The reason he's actually, I think, not debuted yet, because, you can debut at 17, you can play at 17, some of the best players ever have done that, like look at Wayne Rooney. But injuries have massively stifled him. He's so good, but injuries have always got in the way of his progression. He's injury-free currently. You know, he's training with the England senior team. He's training with United senior team. Apparently, Ruben Amorim highly rates him. I think that he's pushing to make his debut at Manchester United now. That'd be super exciting. And what a kind of silver lining to a season where, you know, we've started off a little bit poorly. If you do get to see a Shea Lacey, the only thing is it's tough. Because, like I said, you know, the likes of Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo aren't even getting into the Manchester United team right now because we're only playing one game a week. I mean, Cunha didn't play that much at the weekend. Our new signing for over 65 million because Mount's been playing so well. There's one game a week. We're out of the Carabao Cup, which is so frustrating for a player like Shea Lacey, where that's where he could have got his debut and some game time. And what I'm saying is, even if he does get a debut, it's probably going to be about 5 minutes at the end of a Premier League game. But even so, Amorim's going to be looking to put Mainoo, Zirkzee on. You know, you want it to be a comfortable environment. This is where not having Europe really does stifle us. It stifles us even in the development of our youth. Because Shea Lacey, you'd want to try and give him a bit of time, but you've not got game time where you can just kind of give it out. And you never should just give it out. You've got to earn it. I get that. But if we're still in the Carabao Cup, thank you, Onana. And to be fair, the rest of the team, everyone takes accountability for that. There'd be more opportunity. FA Cup, something where maybe he might get in the squad and there could be a potential. But there literally is just Premier League games, and you know, senior players can't even get in the team. Never mind an academy player that's coming through. But Shea Lacey at 17, training with the England senior squad, it is something to look out for the rest of the season. And when the academy is so important to Manchester United, it's something to absolutely take note of. Savage says, Lacey will make it, Beth. I have full faith. And a lot of people excited. Steve Schaff says, if you're good enough, you're old enough. I like that. Football Cartoon says, how old is Shea Lacey? He is 17 years of age, so got so much time ahead of him. But he's that good. I think his debutu's actually been stifled. He could have already made it by now if he hadn't suffered with a lot of injuries. So needs to stay focused on being injury free. But huge boost that he's training there with the England seniors, and it just shows what a talent United have on their hands. And you know, we've got to keep up the academy to the right standard. Reports coming out yesterday of some embarrassing stuff that United, you're one of the biggest, best clubs in the world, be at that standard. The new Carrington sets that example. We've got to invest that into the youth. We've got to invest that into the women's team. The women's team are doing brilliantly. The youth is the lifeblood of this football club. We've got to make sure we keep having the best academy talents in there. And Shea Lacey could be a good example of that coming through under Ruben Amorim. So that's exciting, something to look forward to. But look, everyone, on that note, I am going to say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much for everyone who got involved in the show today. And do remember, as speaking of England, Goldbridge watch along on That's Football tomorrow, 7:45 kickoff, England versus Wales. That's your football fix in this international break. And before you go, make sure you smash a like on the video, comment all your thoughts down below, and thank you for watching.